Woohoo! Good fans, this is Football Psyche. I'm Coach Madman. We are continuing our series of predicting who's going to win each of the divisions, and this is our last division, the NFC West. And we are going to finish the series today. And next week, we are going to go into another breakdown where what we're going to try to do is readjust each of the division outlooks and have a playoff bracket of who we think is going to ultimately win each of the playoff games and what our prediction is for the Super Bowl. And we love all your guys' comments. So make sure you get the fingers working and you communicate with us because we will do our best to respond back to you.
We finagled, didn't we? Didn't we, Coach Mad Mike? We finagled a little bit. Now we gotta check the facts and come back with a real analysis, right?
Yeah, we've got to always improve the analysis for sure.
All right, folks. This week we're gonna answer these questions. How's the NFC West team standings going to change this year in 2024? What are the biggest questions surrounding every team in the NFC West? And what are you most excited about to see from each team? Let's focus on that one, Coach Mad Mike.
Okay, well, we're going to focus on what we're excited about. Well, I will tell you what, mandatory training camps are behind us. We're in a little bit of a lull within the NFL season right now, which is a perfect time for us to really work on this analysis prior to actual training camp starting, which will start next month. And then before you know it, preseason will be here and football will be back. For all you gamers out there.
You know, we already got tickets. We already got tickets for the Commanders training camps. So we're going to be there. We're going to be live casting. So that's big news for us.
And we look forward to it. And hopefully we'll give you guys a perspective inside of the Commanders that you're not going to see on TV because it will not be televised. But we will have footage of what's going on out there in training camp and who looks good and who doesn't look so great. And we'll hopefully be able to give you a perspective that you guys will appreciate.
Absolutely.
But for y'all those that are gamers out there, some important dates that you guys will probably want to keep track of is what's going to happen as far as College Football 25. It is back after a decade-long absence. It will come back, and it will be released on July 19th.
Ooh, yeah, we're going to get that, baby.
And about a month later, the Madden will be out. And so I'm looking forward to it because usually I'm a franchise kind of guy, and I like the old thing about a decade ago when you can import draft classes from what was then NCAA football. You can import those draft classes into Madden and keep your players. And that was kind of cool.
Right. Give the fans a sneak peek on what we're going to be doing.
Well, what we're going to be doing is, what we did last year was I was a defensive coordinator and Sarge was the offensive coordinator of the Lions. And what he'd like to do is continue to do that. I'm not so sure I want to, but one of the things that he would like to do is run that again and also run Army because we're a couple old Army guys that we run Army in college, which is a extremely difficult task, and try to hopefully get some players that come out of Army and import them into Madden and keep the Lions alive. Now, let's be truthful about it. Sarge, it is a very difficult to get that dude through one season. So we could possibly get to 2 seasons. So how much will college football actually impact his teams? Not at all because he doesn't play enough football for a damn fact. It's not like
we're change that this year, Coach Mad Mike. We're changing it. I'm committed. You got me into this.
Oh my goodness!
I'm committed.
Committed means we might get another game or two out of him. But anyway, we will look to see if we can try to broadcast that and see if you guys like to see that stuff in the background. If you do, great. If you don't, then we'll stop doing it. But we do like having a whole lot of fun, and so we will see what we do with that franchise thing. Just to give you a kind of another little preview with that, what we typically try to do is stick to the college team that we have, and that's the only ones that we are allowed to draft into the NFL. So if Army produces nobody, we don't have anybody to draft. And we have to run with what we have. But the Lions are a strong enough team. I think we'll be all right.
I think we'll be all right. Well, Coach Mad Mike run the defense. We're going to be okay.
He's got to make sure with Jared Goff that Large Sarge has to throw 100 interceptions.
Woo! Oh boy. Okay, it wasn't 100 now, Coach Matt Mike. It was only 42. Come on, it wasn't no 100. 42. And we still won the Super Bowl.
I think there was a 1 in front of that.
Now.
All right, San Francisco 49ers. This is a team that's very intriguing to me. The defending NFC champions that went on to the Super Bowl and, of course, lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. I do not see, in my first look, them getting back to the show this year. They have a number of issues, and I'm going to explain why here in a moment. So what did they do with key additions? Okay, they picked up Leonard Floyd, who I think is a great addition to this team.
Yeah.
I'm not a Malik or Vontae Campbell fan. Losing April Armstead, I think, is hard for this team. Chase Young is a joke.
All right, we agree on that, Coach Mad Mike. But Kinlaw was a big loss.
So Kinlaw was a pretty big loss, but we'll see what they have defensively. I'm not liking the direction that they're going. I think they're going to take a step back.
Wow.
Ricky Pearsall in the first round, I think, was a little bit of a reach. I think that was too early for him to go. But when I look at the rest of these picks, and Ronaldo Green, I am not real high on either from Florida State. I'm a Florida State kind of guy because I'm a Florida guy. He's in my backyard. And I even think he probably went a little early too. I would probably say he was a 3rd or 4th round grade probably in my analysis. So I'm not real happy with what I've seen with this team.
Coach Mike, do you think Leonard Floyd was an upgrade over Chase Young?
Anything is an upgrade over Chase Young because I don't think Chase Young should be in the National Football League at this point. He needs a complete.
You think he's going to have a bad year in New Orleans?
Ever since he got injured in Washington, he has never fully recovered from his defensive rookie of the year kind of status, all the hype that he was on.
Yeah.
He was lackluster in his recovery. I think he malingered with his injury a little bit too long, and I don't think he's ever fully come back. And he was an embarrassment when he went to the San Francisco 49ers. We gave him up for nothing, which was a joke. We should have held on to him in Washington. But when he went there and he had a chance even to be in the show, I saw a lack of effort from him throughout the entire game.
And you pointed it out to me.
I would not.
I had to bow down. I watched it, and you were calling it. I watched it. And I was like, "Oh dear God, Coach Mad Mike is on top of this guy. He is lazy."
So let's talk about this offense. Here's some of the things that I find that is going to be somewhat intriguing about the 49ers. Number one is Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk right now is in a quorum with the 49ers front office.
Yep.
They do not want to sign him to a long-term contract. They pretty much said they don't even want him back. There is a video out there where he actually contacted Jaden Daniels, the quarterback of the Washington Commanders, contacted him because they go all the way back to their buddies from back in the time when they were both at Arizona State.
That's right.
And so they hung out, and Brandon Ayuk said, basically told him on the phone, listen, the 49ers don't want me. That is huge. When your number one receiver does not feel wanted by their team.
Yep.
And when that happens, like he's going to be looking for a trade, but this is like the worst time to trade for him. Do you think somebody's going to trade him and have to give up major draft capital in a final year of his contract, only to know that he's going to be looking for the biggest wide receiver contract probably in the NFL?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to pay for all that.
Any chance the Commanders could do it? Do they have the cap space to do it?
They do, but it would be idiotic, and I know Adam Peters wouldn't do that. And he has a relationship with Brandon Ayuk. So
if I was in the Commanders slot, I'd pick up Ayuk. If I could get him, I'd get him.
No, you won't. Because here's the reason why. You would have to give up multiple draft picks in order to get him. Once you got him in a final year of his contract, he would almost immediately demand a new contract that would be extraordinarily high. And you already are paying Terry McLaurin number one receiver dollar.
Yeah.
You are not going to bring somebody into that situation.
So you don't think there's any chance in the world that he's going to come to the Commanders?
Not this year.
Not this year.
Now, if he hits free agency next year, I think it's free game, right? But I think that's what all teams in the NFL are going to do. So all of you who think Brandon Ayuk's going to move, I'm not saying it's not going to happen because there's some crazy general managers out there. Somebody might bite on this guy.
Yep.
But the person who's going to bite on this guy is probably going to be with a young quarterback where they don't have to put a lot of money into a quarterback right now.
Right.
In order to get this guy, so they have somebody to go to.
Just like Jaden Daniels.
We have Terry McLaurin. We're already paying big money for him.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Commanders are the right fit. So
where do you think he could go?
He can go a number of places, but like
not Chicago. They got two number ones now.
Yeah. It's very, very hard to say.
So, Coach Mad Mike, based on your experience and looking at
he might just be one of those players that is stuck in the 49ers for a year and hit free agency next year. But I don't see that as a hungry situation that leads to real big success.
So, Coach Mad Mike, you have envisioned like nobody else has got on the league. Do you think Ayuk puts out his best year this year? Do you think he goes for broke just to prove that he's worth the money that he wants to have? Or do you think he kind of slides back and says, screw you guys?
I think what happens in a situation like that is, they chasing the money, right? Typically, people get softer after they have the big contract.
Right.
He's going to want to put the numbers for the contract, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a healthy situation for the team.
But you think he's going to try to stand out this year?
Right? Because I've known wide receivers in the past, and you know them too, right? Like all of a sudden, they're just like, I have to have the ball. I need to make money. I need to be able to do this. Why aren't you getting me the ball? Like, you need to give me the freaking ball, right? So like, and that doesn't work real well. It works much better when you have people signed to long-term contracts and there's a tight bond and a brotherhood.
Agreed.
And Brandon Ayuk already knows that he's not wanted there. So that is not a healthy situation.
Right.
Deebo Samuel is going to be the future of this team. And who knows about Ricky Pearsall?
Yeah, they got Pearsall. They got Pearsall in the slot there. That boy looks good.
But I think that reached on him a little bit. I mean, he's not Brandon Ayuk by any stretch of the imagination. So, I mean, we'll see. He's a rookie. There's going to be growing pains there, I believe. But when I look at this team, you still have George Kittle. You still got Trent Williams on the blind side. Excuse me. Hold on. Woo, hallelujah. And all of a sudden, the main thing that you have is you have Christian McCaffrey, who is the Madden 25 cover. Coming back. Hopefully he won't suffer the Madden curse of getting injured. And then you have Brock Purdy, who's also kind of like Brandon Ayuk. He's playing in the final year of his contract. And if the 49ers really, truly believe he's the future, he's going to demand a top dollar.
Oh, yeah. And he's going to play like he's playing for money. I think Purdy's going to have another fantastic year because he's playing for that contract. I think he's motivated to play for that contract. And I think
that there's a lot going
on. And Pearsall, I think all those players are there. And Kittle? Oh.
I just think there's a lot going on here. Defensively, I think it's a little bit more of not as solid as offense is.
I agree.
I love Nick Bosa, but outside of Nick Bosa, I mean, Leonard Floyd on the other end is going to be an interesting bookend. The defensive tackles have left the building, and this is going to be one. Like, I am not big on Malik Collins, so I'm also really not big on their linebackers. Devondre Campbell, sorry, not really feeling it there. And so I think this
you don't feel defense, that one, huh? You don't like him.
I think this defense is going to struggle.
Interesting.
So,
do you think the strength of the offense will make up for the weakness on the defense? Is that what you're saying, Coach Mad Mike?
Say that again.
Will the strength on the offense make up for the weakness on the defense?
No. Defense wins championships, brother.
Oh, I've heard that one before. Where did I hear that? In Baltimore, I heard that. Oh, yeah, I heard that before. Los Angeles Rams. My boys. Matthew Stafford. So Detroit couldn't afford to pick up Jackson. They decided to let him go, and the Rams got him. Good for the Rams.
Reunited with Stafford.
Reunited, and we feel it again. Reunited, and it's all over there. Parkinson, tight end from Seattle. Good pickup. Cameron Curl from Washington. Tell me about Cameron Curl. What do you think about that pickup?
Beast, man, that guy was looking for a big payday, and Washington wasn't going to give it because, we were kind of deep at the position. So it's good for Cameron Curl. I will tell you what, the Rams are getting a good guy there.
All right. I agree. Now, Aaron Donald decided to retire because he's looking for that yellow jacket. We get it. Okay. So good on him, right? Jordan Fuller. This boy's been passed around a little bit, hasn't he? There, Coach Man Mike? What couldn't he do in Seattle? Why did he have to leave the Rams? Interesting. Shelton, their center to Chicago. So what did they do? Well, they got Jared Verse on the 19th pick in the first round to pick up the edge. That's a good pickup. Braden Fisk as a defensive end from Florida State in round 2. They got a running back in Blake Corum in round 3. And they got Cameron Kinchins in round 3. So I think that they might not have addressed the loss of Aaron Donald. I mean, like, seriously, how do you address that, folks? Like, seriously. Aaron Donald? Really? That being said, you got Matthew Stafford in the pocket. You got some edge rushers, so you got some bookends there. Let's look at the offensive depth chart. Let's look and see what they did. Let's see how many of these draft picks are starting. None of them on offense. We got 3 number 2s, but not a single draft pick is starting on the offense. You still got Cooper Kupp. You got Puka Nacua, who I love as a wide receiver. You got Matthew Stafford, who is appearing to be more healthy from what I can see. And the running back situation is interesting. Corum Blake's going to back up Kyron Williams. I think that's their weakest spot, but we'll see what happens. Let's go to the defense. On the defense, Jared Verse is going to be a starter, and Braden Fisk is going to be a starter. So there's 2 draft picks that are going to contribute right away. And you got Cameron Kitchens, Brennan Jackson, and Tyler Davis coming in at number 2s. So these guys made a lot of moves in the draft to shore up some stuff and build some depth. So I think the Rams are going to have about an equal year to the one they had last year. What do you think, Coach Mad Mike?
Well, I think losing Aaron Donald is huge.
Yeah.
Right. I will tell you, one thing I do like about Brandon Fisk and Jared Verse is, they were teammates from Florida State, and they worked really well together. So they are going to come in. I don't like that they're both starting right away. That just tells me like it's not the ideal situation. To me, I would have liked to have had Aaron Donald there for another year to develop these 2. Having them come in there and immediately throwing into the wolves like that. I mean, there's some tackles out there that are going to shut these guys down, and they're going to get frustrated because they're just like, wait a minute, it's not so easy to get to the quarterback as it was in college.
They don't have enough tricks under the belt yet.
Yeah, it's a transition. It's a transition at the next level. You're going up against professional, tackles.
Yep.
Cameron Curl on this defense is definitely going to be a plus. The guy's a hard hitter. He takes some chances sometimes, but that dude is a physical football player, and I think he's going to fit in on the Rams very well.
Can I just ask a question? I have a question, Coach Mike.
Yeah.
How do you get 2 safeties with the same first name?
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
Well, I mean, what? What is that fate? Is that a secret sauce? What is it?
But Kinship has a very good situation there to learn underneath Cameron because Cameron has been around the league for a while and knows how to play the position.
Oh my Lord, yes. So I look at the Rams like you did a review on the 49ers. Offense looks tight. Offense has all the tools. Defense is a question mark, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right? Okay.
I would definitely agree with that.
Interesting.
Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks here. So the key addition there is my boy Sam Howell. That still pains me to this day that the Washington Commanders got rid of him. I would have kept him. We decided to go with Marcus Mariota, and I will tell you the Seattle Seahawks are going to fall in love with this guy because, in my opinion, he's going to beat out Geno Smith at some point. It might not be by week 1, but then again, it might. I think Sam Howell's a better quarterback. And if he's in the right situation, picks up the offense, I think in time he's going to beat out Geno Smith. and he's going to be the guy. And we're all going to look back on it and go, why didn't Washington keep him?
Yep.
We know we should have kept him.
I'll tell you that
we're going to regret that.
I'll tell you the GM, John Schneider in Seattle, is saying they're already in on Geno. He's the starter. There ain't no question about it.
Who?
John Schneider, the GM, president of football ops over there.
Where?
At Seattle.
Oh, okay.
And
I didn't know who he was.
Yeah. And Schneider also said that Geno's going into camp and he's the starter, and we're really excited. So the buzz is that it's not going to be a competition, but I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I think there is a competition. I think Sam Howell's that good. I think the Commanders are that stupid to get rid of him.
I would agree with that. I think it was our biggest blunder in the offseason. I will tell you what our biggest addition in the offseason to me in Washington was Bobby Wagner, which was a subtraction of them. So it's basically, we pick up Bobby Wagner from them, but we give them up Sam Howell. Bobby Wagner for this defense is going to be tough. Like, I remember, he historically is a legend in Seattle. And he went to the Rams for a year. And then last year he went back to Seattle. And why they didn't sign him to a long-term deal, I have no idea.
Legend, absolutely.
But he is a legend there. And you would have thought that they would have taken care of him until he was done playing. He led the league in tackles last year, 168 tackles. And that couldn't buy you a new contract for the team that you are a legend in that city?
I have no idea how that works, Coach Mad Mike.
To me, it's freaking absolutely mind-blowing.
You could not have said that any better, in my opinion.
Come on. And then you go ahead and you let Jordan Brooks go along with him? Really? And then so your idea is I'm going to bring in Jerome Baker from Miami and Daryl Dotson from Buffalo. That's your solution, really? Come on.
Do you think they addressed the linebacker?
No, they didn't. Come on. You don't replace Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks with Jerome Baker and Terrell Dotson.
Do you
say,
think
I think we're good. I think we're good. No, you're not. You're not good.
So you think one Bobby Wagner is worth at least 2 Bakers and Dotsons?
Oh, my goodness. I don't look at it that way, but I'm telling you one thing. If you think that you're in a better position than you were last year at the linebacker position, no, you better put some smelling salts under you. All right? I'm telling you, you're not. I do like the draft pick of Byron Murphy, though, on the defensive line. I think that was pretty good. Everything else to me is a wash.
Wait a minute. Go back one, Coach.
I don't want to go back. I'm trying to move forward.
What do you think about Christian Hayes in the third round to replace?
I'm moving forward.
All
right. So coming to the Seattle Seahawks offense, listen, we had DK Metcalf. He is everything along with Tyler Lockett. This is the basis of this team, this offense. Excuse me.
Yep.
Believe me, Kenneth Walker, I like him a lot. He's going to do that. But if whoever's throwing the ball, it needs to go to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
For sure.
I know Noah Fant's on there as well, but believe me, it's the outside receivers that make this offense work. Right. I'm going to tell you something there. I still believe that Geno Smith is in trouble. I kind of agree with you. This is a hidden quarterback controversy.
Yes.
Sam Howell is a lot better than people are giving him credit for.
Yes.
He picks up this offense, they're going to see what treasure that they have.
Yes, I agree.
Now, defensively, when I'm looking at this stuff, this is where it's a wreck. I do not like the linebacker core.
You heard it here. Coach Mad Mike said it's a wreck.
It's a wreck. When I look at this defense, I'm just like, who do you think you're going to stop?
Yeah.
And Byron Murphy, I'm telling you, I think he's going to end up starting sooner rather than later. He's going to work his way into the offense, the defensive lineup. And it might be Jermont Jones, but it could even be on the other side. It's really hard to say off of this. They've always historically run this weird kind of 3-4 kind of thing, which I'm not really sure it works for them, especially how weak these linebackers are. Mm-hmm. So, I don't see this defense doing very well at all. Mm-hmm. So we will see. But I don't like the direction that they're going.
So they should score some points, but They might get a hell of a lot more scored against them, right?
Yeah, they're going to struggle.
All right, Coach Mad Mike, I took a look at the Arizona Cardinals. For whatever reason, the Cardinals have been like right here in there somewhere, behind the Lions are mine, and my number 2 is the Commanders, aka the Redskins. But behind that, I've always been like an underdog kind of guy. So it's like the Cardinals and the Browns, Tampa Bay, who've done a lot better, some of those other second-tier teams. So Kyler Murray's had a problem. He's been injured a lot, right? And this team had major problems last year with only, I think it was 4 wins they had last year. So they had a hell of a lot of draft picks. Dear Lord, look at that list. So there were so many things to improve upon. And Kyler Murphy, in my opinion, is still a question mark because of the injuries. And who do they have behind him, really, right? So they gave him some help. They went out and picked Marvin Harrison at number 4, which I think was a great pick, right? They added Jonah Williams from Cincinnati at offensive tackle to give Murray a little cover. They added Sean Murphy Bunting at cornerback from Tennessee, who's a good guy, to give him a little help on D. They added Justin Jones on the defensive line from Chicago, who's a good guy, who they didn't want to pay the money for, but they lost Marquise Brown. So I think Harrison replaces Brown.
He does.
I think they picked up some help on the offensive line where they needed it. The problem with me is the defense with this team. Wide receiver, cornerback, and edge. So did they improve? Well, let's look at the draft. Round 1, they picked up a defensive lineman, Darius Robinson. Round 2, they picked up a cornerback, Max Melton from Rutgers. And in round 3, look at this. A running back, a guard, a tight end, and a cornerback. Let's take a look at the offense and see how many of these guys got to number 1. Marvin Harrison's going to start. But they got 4 guys in the number 2 slot. So they're planning to get these guys some reps, right, Coach Mad Mike? So I'd say that's a good draft, right? Let's look at the defense. Darius Robinson's going to start on defensive end. Max Melton's going to start at the cornerback position, left cornerback. And they got 3 guys in depth at number 2 from the draft. So this is a young team rebuilding. And I think they're going to have a better year. I think they have a chance to have a better year this year than they did. Will they do anything? I don't think so, but I think they can put a couple more games up this year than they did last year. A lot of that, obviously, in my opinion, depends on how Kyler Murphy stays healthy.
Yeah, you know what? I think I agree with you. Like, I think the key thing that you said is that this team is young and they're rebuilding, right? So if they hit on these draft picks, and if a lot of these guys end up panning out and being what they were, and you don't know with a lot of draft picks,
right.
General managers are graded upon, draft classes like from 3 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How are those players that they did, how have they panned out, right? And so you won't really know how good this draft class is for another 3 years. Right.
Well,
so
unless you're the Detroit Lions and you have Brad Holmes, where you pick them, you pick your guys and they all set records in your first year as a rookie.
Yeah.
Let's see how they did.
What every GM wants, right? You want to hit on your picks, right? But and so we'll see with this team, right? I agree with your analysis though. So that brings us to the standing predictions of what we think we're going to do. And I like to caveat this, that next week we're going to be looking at this NFL wide and our numbers are going to change. Right? Because there's a reason for that. Like this part here, I want to caveat, like our projected ratings, like we've done in every outlook, have been based on whether we think a team's improved or they've declined. And so they're very subjective in how we do that. But we're going to get a lot more analytical next week, because we're going to look at games that each team's playing, and we're going to make sure, like if we're saying like the Rams are winning against the Seahawks on this particular game, then we're handing the Seahawks that loss.
Right.
Right? And we're going to make sure that we do that for every team within the National Football League. So I say that because tune in next week as well, because the standings will be updated based off of that more in-depth level analysis. But as of right now, you have the 49ers still leading the division.
I don't see any way out of that one.
Yep, I would have to agree with you there.
I don't see any way out of that.
I think that there are issues in San Francisco there. So for them dropping a game to me, I'm very comfortable with that. Right. I do think like they're still the leader of the pack, but they're going to have some issues. And I'm going to be watching Brandon Ayuk extremely closely on how that situation works out there in San Francisco.
That's a good call, Coach Mad Mike.
And it's a story worth watching for all of us because that could be one that's such a distraction that this team might not make it back to the Super Bowl because of that. I see, and I'm actually going to predict that. I'm actually going to predict that. I don't think the 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl this year.
Who do you think is going to take him out, Coach Mad Mike?
Well, you have to tune in next week.
Oh, man.
All right. So we have the Los Angeles Rams.
Rams are making the playoffs. I'm sorry. They're making it.
Yeah. Well,
unless and until Matthew Stafford goes down with an injury, which is always possible.
Well, that's what every
quarterback.
That's a caveat with every starting quarterback at every football team, right? If your starting quarterback goes down, you're in trouble. There's very, very few teams that have a backup quarterback that would come in and you don't think like there's a loss there. There's a degradation that happens when you lose it. So, like to say if they lost a starting quarterback, that's what every football team, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, for me, assuming everybody stays relatively healthy, and injuries are part of the NFL, and you have to count that into it too. We still see this team, even though we see them as a wild card team, still dropping a game. And I think
Aaron Donald is worth a game.
That's right. I think it's Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald alone is worth one game,
at least, right? So then brings the Seattle Seahawks. We see them dropping a couple of games. I think defensively, like they're not in good shape. For the life of me, why they wouldn't re-sign Bobby Wagner, as grateful as I am to get him in Washington, I think you guys are idiots.
That's as bad as the Commanders losing Sweat and Young in the same trades.
Yep. Thank you.
Wagner's worth both of those guys.
Thank you for ripping that scab off, man. Now I'm bleeding again.
I just got to call it like it is.
And then we think the Arizona Cardinals with the healthy Kyler Murray is actually going to pick up a game this year and, get all those young rooks, get them developed a little bit and get them all broken into the NFL.
Listen, if they did well in the draft and those guys shine, they could do better than what I'm calling there. They could.
Yeah, but it's just so unknown.
I don't think they're a wild card team yet, but they could get close. They could.
I think they're a rebuilding team, and I think they're a team like it's going to be interesting to watch all these rookies and how well they shine. Like who actually steps up, who actually makes the transition well, who struggles. Right. It's with a rebuilding team, you got to keep your expectations in check. Right. You got to know, like, hey, we're building something here within this football program. And this year is about us taking a step forward and developing football players. And I think that's what's going on in Arizona.
Yep.
And so,
who knows? It took Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, 3 years. And look what happened.
That's right. That's typical.
So Cardinals picked up some really good draft picks. So, you never know. They could be the up-and-comer here in the division, right?
And another team that was like the Cardinals that had a buttload of draft picks was the Washington Commanders, and they have a brand new coaching staff over there. They could be on a 3-year path too. Yep. I'm a diehard Washington Commanders, Washington Redskins fan, and a lot of my people, if you guys are too, pay attention to the Commanders Edition. We live stream every Monday. But one of the things that we have about that is mitigating expectations. And I think the Cardinals are just like the Commanders that way. You can't expect them, oh, gosh, we're a Super Bowl bound team. No, you're not.
No.
Right?
It's going to be luck, and it's going to be work and sweat.
Work and sweat. And what you want to see is people, the organization taking a positive step in the right direction. And it might be a 3-year program, kind of like what happened in Detroit. In Washington, it's probably going to be a 3-year program. In the Cardinals, it's going to be a 3-year program.
Yeah, they're going to need to find another backup behind Murray who's worth a dang.
Yeah, but it's hard to find a starting quarterback, let alone a backup.
I know.
So
a lot of question marks.
Quarterbacks are hard. It's hard to do it. Like you would think that you need somebody for Kyler Murray just because Kyler Murray is just injury prone. But hopefully, all those things are behind him. He's able to help move this organization forward. I tell you what. There was a lot of speculation in the offseason where the Arizona Cardinals were going to trade him. Really? Trade away Kyler Murray. Because it was one of those situations where it's like he was struggling a little bit with the front office on whether or not is he really truly their franchise quarterback, because they've been working with him for a number of years now, and there's just been a lot of injuries and things haven't really fleshed out and worked like they anticipated.
They're making that boy run. They don't have an offensive line to protect him. He's a little short guy. He's got quick legs, but you if you're a quarterback, you get out of the pocket and you run, you're gonna get injured. So, Coach Mad Mike, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, because this was your idea to go over these divisional predictions and stats and all these things. And as just a general fan and a Lions fan and a Redskins fan second and Browns and Cardinals and blah, 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 I don't look at the headlines as a fan. I only look at the headlines. But you know what you made me do, Coach Mad Mike?
Study teams.
You made me study teams. I'm feeling better about my knowledge in the NFL. And I appreciate that you
and everybody else,
you can go back. I appreciate that you have made me study more so I get more educated about the NFL in general.
Yeah,
and I hope that every other fan out there watching you as you go through this series with us also picked up some knowledge from us, watching us, about all the teams, even if it's not your favorite team. Because obviously, a lot of these teams aren't my favorite teams, but I had to study them and I had to learn them anyway.
And you know what everybody can do is you can go back and you can watch every one of the outlooks, right? So everybody can go back and look at them. And so if none of these four teams are your favorite teams, I mean, you can go over here and learn something about them, especially when your favorite team plays against them. You go, wait a minute, I know we have an outlook on that. Let me go see what the Cardinals look like. Let me see what Large Sarge and Mad Mike say about them. And let's see what some of the comments were on that. And then you can kind of do your homework a little bit. Exactly. And then you can even comment on there, like, these outlooks are going to be out there. And so one of the things that I do think, like next week, we're going to start making that type of analysis and predictions. I think it's going to be very
Whittle it down.
And don't be surprised if our analysis comes back different than everybody else. Because you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to look at what everybody else is putting on the internet.
That's why
I hate that mess. The reason why I hate that mess is because I disagree with most of them anyway, and they're very irritating for me to watch. Right?
Just like
mock
drafts.
Yeah, I hate mock drafts. Most of the mock drafts are wrong. I was more accurate than just about any analyst.
Everyone. There wasn't one analyst that beat you, Coach Mad Mike. You were the best.
And I'm the only one out there on the internet that's not getting paid. These guys make millions of dollars, and I'm better than them at predicting the market.
Subscribe. Help us get Coach Mad Mike paid for this analysis.
I'm not trying to get paid, but
I want him to get paid.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what you do want to do. You want to hit subscribe, and you do want to stay in contact with us, communicate with us, because we will talk with you back and share it with your buddies. Because you know what? If you want to get real analysis, we're going to get you real analysis through the entire season, and we want to be there for you. Please come back next week for our next one, because we will break down every division with analysts, with the analysis of wins and losses by team for each one, and make a determination of who we think is going to make the playoffs and who we think is going to make it to the Super Bowl and win it. And it might not be what everybody else is saying, but we will see, because it is out there on the web, baby.
There you go. One more point, Coach Mad Mike. Please, all you folks out there watching this show, go to the community post and vote for who you think is going to win the division. We've got 2 weeks worth of community posts where we need more of you to get out there and say, this is what I think. So go in there and put your votes in on who you think. Might help our analysis.
Hey, this is a voting year, isn't it? So get out there and vote.
It's a voting year.
That's right. All right, this is Football Psyche, guys. We are out of here. Psh.